Okay, so this class is on showing with the purpose. So there's no handout. It's kind of free-flowing. Ask a lot of questions, okay? That's the best kind of learning is going to be. I can sit up here and talk about all kinds of things. However, when you guys ask questions, everyone else learns, and everyone else watching the video will learn from it as well. So this is a sequel to the buyer consultation. So basically where we left off with buyer consultation is they come in, you explain the process, right? So while they're here, that's what we told them when we set up the buyer consultation is when you come in, I'm going to explain the process, and then we're going to go look at houses. Everybody remember that? It was here? Okay. So we've explained the process. Now it's time to go show some houses. So the first thing we're going to do is while they're here is we're going to pull up their search. So we can just start from scratch just to make sure we're on the same page. I mean, because prior to that, you might have set them up on a search or emailed them some properties, right? Okay, so now that we're together in the same room and face-to-face, we're going to set up a new search starting from scratch. So this gives you an opportunity to say, okay, so what I heard you say was you wanted 4 bedrooms, but you would accept a 3-bedroom and a den because the 4th one was going to be an office anyways, right? You needed this, 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 and that. Is that right? Has anything changed since then? No? Okay, great. So let's pull up a search just so you can see what's out there, all right? Now, I'm all about setting expectations with people. I think the more expectations you set that are clearly defined, the less issues you run into. Okay? Just better effective communication. So the expectation you want to set is we're going to probably see a lot of houses that are going to come up as part of your search results. What we're going to do today is narrow it down to your top 5. 5. Okay? I don't know about you, but I don't like showing more than 5 houses at a time. Because if you do, what happens to your buyer after the 5th, 6th, 7th house?
Well, jumbled up together and they don't know.
They all run together and like, oh gee, I don't remember, did the first one have that or was that the 3rd one? Right? So to be effective for them to make a decision, 5. Plus, it's really hot outside. So going from car to hot house, where there's probably no AC on, like nerves start getting worked as the heat increases, people get hungry, like it's just not enough, you're not going to become effective after that point, in my opinion, okay? And plus, by the end of this, you'll see how showing 5 should be good enough for them to want to write an offer on one of those 5, okay? Okay, so done explaining the process. What?
So I have a question though, because a lot of those homes, sometimes they need 24-hour notice, or you have to contact the listing agent.
Right, so we're going to go through that process right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm setting the expectation that we're going to see 5 houses today. Okay, so long as there's at least 5 that match their criteria. If they're looking for that unicorn home, this also gives you an opportunity to say, well, what if we adjust this? What if we adjust that to get 5 results? Okay, so, and the big thing is when you're doing the search in front of them, now they get to see that it's just not that you're a horrible agent, you can't find them what they're looking for. What they're looking for doesn't exist in their price point, right? Because the first thing I would do is I would pull up all their criteria, yeah? If you don't get enough results, what would be the first thing you'd want to change in the search?
Area.
Price. So let me keep what you really want, but let me show you what it cost.
Oh, I see.
So your budget's $250 and what you want starts at $275. So Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, what would you like me to adjust since we can't change the budget? You can't qualify for more, that's your top. Or that's the most you want to pay.
Like the Property Brothers. What you want is $450,000.
Right.
Your
Cost
budget
X.
is $300.
Yeah.
So
So
let's see.
when you're pulling up in front of them, then they'll believe you. See, that's the whole thing. When you have a phone conversation with someone you've never met and you're discussing their needs and wants and you send them a list and like, this guy didn't listen to what I said. He sent me properties that don't match what I'm looking for. No, what you're looking for doesn't exist in that budget. So something's got to change. So when you're doing it in front of them, then they're like, oh, they can see for themselves. Does that make sense? Okay. So we're going to pull up the results and change any criteria necessary to get them what they're looking for within their budget. Or maybe they'll decide, okay, I qualify for $300. I wanted my payment to be more like what it would be at $250,000. So let's go up to $275 because I want what I want and I'm willing to pay for it. I just thought I could get away with getting it at $250, right? Okay. So we pull up that criteria. Let's say there's 30 results. I would invest the time to go through those results one by one. I really would. Because again, you want to get to the cream of the cream. What excites them? Now, you'll find that you don't need to go through every single detail of every single listing. So it doesn't take that long. Because when you spend the time to understand what they really want, and you go to the listing in the order to show them, you're going to hit on the main points. Okay, it has this, it's got that, it's got all your highlights. But, oh, you know what, see this picture here? The kitchen's kind of funky. It's not the great room. It's more closed off. So that doesn't match what you're looking for, right? Yeah, no, that's really important to us. Okay, next. Like, we don't need to look at any other information. It's not a fit. It doesn't match, okay? So again, this is where you're going to lead them. They make decisions, but you lead them to the decision. Follow me? Okay. So once you've got your top 5, now if they come up and as you're selecting properties to get to the top 5, let's say you had initially listed 30 and you narrow it down to 10. Cool. We're looking at 5 today. So out of these 10, let's go back through, which are your top 5. The other 5 we can save for another day, which will likely not come. But if it did, that's for another day, okay? We're looking at 5 today. All right, so once you narrow it down to top 5, part of the criteria might be, well, we really like this one, but we can't see it today because it's tenant occupied.
Right.
Okay, so that's where that comes in.
Okay.
So we want the best 5 that we can actually see today, since today is what we have to work with, okay? If they've got one that's like in the top 3, but you need a 40-hour notice, it's not an option today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can schedule it today, but we're not seeing it, okay? All right, now, the very next class is called winning the contract. In our market right now, in most of the West Valley at least that we work, there a lot of time is still multiple offers on properties, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna preface part of that class with the next thing, which is this. When you get that top 5, what you want to do is call every single one of those listing agents in front of them, okay? That does many things. A lot of agents will just use that showing time and electronically submit a request for an appointment. Please don't do that. Please do not use that unless the showing instructions specifically state to do so. Here's why. I can't tell you how many stories we have just in our team alone of agents that have set up showings, arrived to the property, the homeowner is home, and they say, "What are you doing here? I don't have an appointment." And we say, "Oh yes, we have a confirmation from your agent. We scheduled this." Now you have an upset homeowner, and if it's in their top 5 and they really want to see the house, you have an upset buyer, and you're going to be upset for wasting your time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a conversation with that listing agent, you're much more likely to get verification that you can actually go see the house.
So
Okay?
the listing agent might also say to you, "We need to use showing time."
They might. And if
A
that's
lot
the
of
case,
them-
fine.
A lot of them did, like, I could show like 18 houses last week, it was horrible. But yeah, every time it'll say like use showing time, I still call the listing agent to make sure, because some of the showing time, like some of the agents are good, you'll get like a, request received and then
Yeah.
a confirmed one
Right,
after.
right.
But I still call the listing agent no matter what, because if they're occupied, then
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Oh,
out there.
yeah.
And
For sure, if they're
ring,
occupied.
even though it's still confirmed, I still ring the doorbell just to make sure there's
Yeah.
somebody coming in their house randomly, Yeah,
So-
that's called.
Why else would you want to call the listing agent?
To get.
I'd like to call them and ask them if they have offers in on the
Yeah,
property.
that's a good question.
And I'll ask if they'll disclose to me the best offer that they do have. That way
Absolutely.
I know it's a waste of time if if they've got a 5,000 over listing price cash offer and my buyer needs, closing costs and then they're gonna lowball and, I'll still show them the property like the last buyers I had, they did that multiple times and we didn't get negotiations, they just rejected because they wouldn't take my advice at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one thing I like to ask too, is just to make sure we're not wasting our time.
Yeah. Do you have any offers, right? Because they could already actually be under contract with accepted offer, but they never change the status in the MLS.
Exactly.
So, is the property available? Do you have any offers? Would you mind sharing with me what the terms of those offers are? Now, some agents are very no. They won't do that.
Yeah.
Some agents will.
I've never had anyone that would.
Really?
Yeah.
You will.
Yeah, I had a couple that did,
You will.
a couple that refused.
Yeah. So,
And also to get a rapport with them.
thank you. That's the number one thing right there. Because if they don't have any offers, listen, this is the problem, one of the many problems with our industry and real estate sales is agents fail to understand and realize that we're in business with each other. We are here to create a win-win for all parties involved. So, the better relationship you can build with the listing agent, the better chances you have of making a deal go together that the seller wants and the buyer wants. Most agents are playing from a win-lose mentality, where it's, I gotta get the best deal for my clients, which means the only way to do that is to screw you. So you call ahead of time, you start a relationship with that agent, build that connection, you'd be surprised what information you'll get. So other questions you want to ask the listing agent is, can you, other than price, can you tell me what's important to the seller? Or what are they looking for as far as the close of escrow date? Are they lax? Do they need something longer? Do they need something short? Can you tell me what information your seller is really looking for? Because if they say, oh, I'm so glad you asked, we have to have a 60-day close because da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Doesn't matter what the reason is, right? Do you want to communicate that to your buyer? Yeah. Because take one of the shares this morning. Her client needed to be in there in 30 days. Would that house work? Nope. So why would we go look at it? See what I'm saying? So this whole process, see, buying a house is not a process of selection. Hear that. Buying a house is not a process of selection. It is a process of elimination. We're sifting through everything to eliminate, and whatever's left is what they're going to buy. So I'm going to show you a little more how to do that, okay? But if you get one thing from this, drive that home. This is a process of elimination. And when you explain that to your clients, it puts things in a little bit different perspective, okay? All right, so we've called all 5 agents. We've got information that we need to know. We may have to swap out one of the top 5 for a different one because we can't see it today, or what the seller wants or has to have, that's not negotiable, doesn't match what my clients need. It's not going to go together, okay? So now we've got a condensed, solid top 5 we're going to go look at today, okay? All right, talk to all the agents, made that connection, yeah? All right, so what I would do then is look at the map of where those 5 properties are in the MLS, right? Just hit the map button and plan a route that's most efficient.
Also with that, if you just type in Google, there's a little thing called multi-plotter. So you can put in all the addresses at once, hit enter, and it plots them all. So then you can build your route.
You don't have to hand input the addresses?
No, you do. I mean,
Okay.
you write down, you know, when you guys are going
Yeah.
to MLS, you write down all your addresses and then just Google multi-plotter, and put all those addresses in, and then it'll
And
just
it'll
plot
do
it.
the route for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So however you want to go about that, but definitely have a route that you're not backtracking and wasting time, okay? Once that's all done, you print those out. I only print out the private copy for me. I do not give the client a set to take notes on. And I'm going to explain why. I think that's one of the worst things you can do. I really do. Have you ever taken a client out that you show them several houses and now they say, okay, well, let us sleep on it? In my opinion, you didn't do your job. They were not able to make a decision. Why? Because you didn't lead them down the path to make the decision. So now they're left to their own devices. So let me explain. We've got the top 5, yeah? We go to the first house. Okay, Brian, so now that we looked at the house, it has the granite open kitchen with a great room, 4 bedrooms, which you would prefer over 3 bedrooms and a den. It's got the good sized lot that you like with low maintenance landscaping, single level, which you really wanted. It's got the RV gate. I mean, this one's hitting all the buttons. Tell me, what do you like, and more importantly, what do you not like about this house? Well, you know, you're right. It's got da-da-da-da-da. I really don't care for the color of the carpet and the color of the walls. Okay, fair enough. Now, that's something cosmetic that you could certainly change, right? Absolutely. Okay, so if this was the only house we had available, would this be something you'd be interested in writing an offer on? Yeah, you know what? This one makes the short list. Fantastic. We're going to keep it. Let's go to the next. Okay, so we've got to have a conversation about that house. That is so important, because if they really have a big issue with that house, that's not something that can be changed. It's just part of the floor plan, something of that nature. It's not an option, guys. It's not an option, right? Okay. So if you said, you know what, Justin, no, the kitchen's too closed off. As I said, we do a ton of entertaining. That's really important that I have that open floor plan. So no, I don't think we'd write an offer on this one. Fantastic. I would literally rip it up in front of them. It's symbolic. This is not an option. You don't need to take notes. What for? You wouldn't consider it. See where we're going with this? Okay. So I rip it up literally in front of them and put it away. We go to the next house. Same process. We take a look around, right? Point out all the features that they said that they wanted if it matches those things. Okay? Brian, what do you think? Tell me, what do you like, what do you not like? Well, it's got this, it's got that, I don't like this, but that could be changed. Yeah, this is an option. Fantastic. Let's go to the next. We go to the next one. So now we're on number 3, right? Walk to the house. Same process. What do you like, what do you not like? Well, I like this, I don't like that. Okay, so this is the pivotal point right here. Would you consider writing an offer on this one? Yeah, I would. So the last 3, these 2 are an option. Perfect. That's fantastic. We're finding you what you like. So let me ask you a question. If both of these houses were free, which one would you pick and why? If both of these houses were free, which one would you pick and why? Because see, a lot of people get wrapped up in buying the deal. Well, that one's $15,000 cheaper. Yes, but is it the one you would really want? No, I'd want this one over here because of X, Y, and Z. Okay, so which one would you buy? The one's $15,000 more? Fantastic. I take the one that you'd like that's less, but you wouldn't take it if it was free, and I rip it up. If you like this one more, why is this one still an option on the table? It's not, unless you make it an option to them. You see what I'm saying? This is a process of elimination, not selection. This is not house hunters where the truth is they look at 20, 30 houses, and then for the sake of, drama and all that kind of stuff, 3, and they let them go off and make a decision. That's the biggest bunch of crap I've ever seen. And I've actually talked to somebody that was on the show that bought a house here in Surprise. Like, it's not what you see through the TV. That's not what happened. So, you rip up the one that's not an option because they have one that's a better option. Okay? All right. So let's go look at house number 4, right? Because we still got 2 more to go. This is a rinse and repeat cycle. All right. So we look at this house. Brian, what do you think, man? I really love, it's got da-da-da-da-da, which are all my hot points, but it doesn't have this one thing. And that last house we saw, man, it has it. And it's not an option. Rip. Let's go to the 5th. Now, we go look at the 5th. Same process, like this is not rocket science, okay? So, Brian, what do you think, man? What do you like, what do you not like? Well, it's got da-da-da-da, but doesn't have this. Okay, out of the 2, they're both free. Which one would you take? Well, Justin, that's a really hard decision. I'd have to think about that. Well, let's talk it out. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you through this process. So tell me, why is this a hard decision? Wouldn't you want to know that? Or do you want to say, hey, no, why don't you just take it home and think about it and get back to me?
Can I get that offer as soon as possible?
You betcha. Yeah. No, let's make a decision. What are you struggling with? Let's talk it out. Well, number 3, the one that I liked, didn't have the carbon paint. So there's going to be a financial investment on my end to change that. Whereas this one's turnkey, ready to go, but I don't really care about the size of the master bedroom. Okay, that's a good point, Brian. So let's talk about that. Master bedroom, can you change its size? No. You might be able to decrease the size of the closet and add a few square feet, but that's something structural that you're not going to be able to change. So which is more important to you? Having the larger master that you got to put some money in the paint and carpet, which is cosmetic, that you can do it any time, or having one turnkey and living with the smaller master, which is more important to you? You see, I'm not making a decision for him. I'm leading him to a decision, right? Because isn't that what he wants to figure out? What's more important? So let's talk about it. We're advisors. We're helping eliminate. Got it? Mm-hmm. So do you see how you can go from showing 20, 30 houses to 5?
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. So, one other piece of the puzzle I didn't bring up. When we're pulling the houses we want to go take a look at, just for the sake of simplicity, let's say they're looking in Surprise, okay? I'm going to pull a supply and demand analysis of all of Surprise for their price point. That's another class we're going to hit on, supply and demand. That's critical data, ladies and gentlemen. Let me explain why. So let's say we get house number 3, right? So we're going to write an offer. Let's pull some comps. How are they priced? As I pull comps, I want to determine what I think value range is going to be. I never tell a client what to offer. Ever. Ever. That's the biggest no-no in my book, right? Because let's say it's listed at 250. You'll pull comps, it's worth 260. And so they say, hey Justin, what do you think we should offer? I say, well, it's worth 260, but they're asking 250, so let's go 250. Another offer comes in at 250, 2.5, and they lose the house. Whose responsibility was that? Or who are they going to blame, I guess is the more appropriate question, right? Me. So this is on another class of winning the contract. My response is, you need to offer as much as you possibly can, where you still feel you're getting a good value, but also a number where you wouldn't offer over that, because if somebody else did, you'd be willing to let them have the house. Like, you got to offer enough knowing you're putting your best foot forward. So if you don't get it, you're okay with that. And when the search will continue. However, as I showed you, here's the comps. It's been on the market 2 days, and it's Wednesday, which means, based on our supply and demand analysis that I showed you, it's going to be gone by Sunday. So the supply and demand analysis is this. It's a geographical area where we're going to look at their price point. So again, we were like 250 to 300, right? So I'm going to pull $25,000 increments, meaning 250,000 to 275,000 and 275 to 300,000. Those two price blocks, right? I'm not going to use any criteria as far as bedrooms, bathrooms, size, none of that. Just price in the area in which we're looking for houses. So I'm going to do a CMA on that, and I'm going to see how many properties are active and how many properties are pending. We do a little math equation that gives us a ratio. Depending upon that ratio will tell us if it's a seller's market, a balanced market, or a buyer's market. So very simply put, if you've got 10 houses under contract from the 250 to 275 and 2 available for sale, that's a very imbalanced market. That means there's high demand, low supply. It's a seller's market. So what do you think their offer is going to have to be if they price it at 250 but it's worth 260? Are they going to be able to come in at 245 and ask for 3% closing costs? Sure, all day long. They're not going to get accepted, right? Because they're going to get multiple offers. So if you have that data and you explain it to them before you even go look at houses, you've just planted the seed that when you find the house you really want, you're going to have to make a good offer. So if you go over that data at the time of, okay, so what do you want to offer, it's too late. The early in the process, you can implant that into them and impress upon them that it's a seller's market. You're going to have to be competitive. Then when they find the house they really like, a little bit of greed factor sets in too. Like, oh, I don't want someone else to take this house. It's mine. So they're more apt to make a solid offer. Does that make sense?
And you said you wouldn't look at how many bedrooms or whatever, or square footage even? Would you look at single story versus 2 stories?
Not in supply and demand.
Okay.
Yeah, we're only looking at price point.
Okay.
Okay? Because that's what buyers search by first and foremost, price. What can I buy?
Well, and that price point that you're talking about is also the difference between an FHA and a conventional, so that would matter for how many people qualify.
Well, we're talking loan amount too. So, I mean, they can buy a house as high as they want, but they're only going to finance up to 271, 050,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So, potentially, depending upon how much money they have down. Yeah. Okay? So, that was 24 minutes. It's pretty simple. What kind of questions do you guys have, or what have you ran up against that you struggle with showings or getting people to make a decision?
I think it's the fear of the market. I mean, the last 2 people that I had under contract here, they, the market's going up and I'm afraid because of what happened in 2009, and so they just completely backed out. And I was saying, the market is going up. So if you're really wanting to buy and not rent, now's the time because it's still going up. And they just...
And interest rates going up.
Yeah, and interest, and that was happening too. And I think I'm just gonna rent for another year. So, that was just the most recent. But a lot of it, I think maybe now listening, I've made the mistake of giving them, because that's how I was taught, give them their own set to look at, and then they go home and they talk about it. So.
Yeah. And I think the issue with giving them too much information allows them to go to analysis paralysis. Right?
Yeah.
And with analysis paralysis, when they feel rushed or forced to make a decision they do, that's what leads to buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
So when you walk them through the process I just explained, they're going to be a lot more clear on why they made the decision they made. They're going to know that they bought the best house for them and for their reasons.
I think too, though, because I've done only 5 house showings in one day, and I'm like, so, they were really confident in the one, and they wanted to, it was actually the first deal I ever did. They were like, but I've only seen 5 houses. What if there's, more? So we went out, the next weekend and saw 5 more houses, and she was still stuck on the first one. And I, thankfully it wasn't as hot back then as it is, but it's just that, okay, well, we can see more houses, but the market's hot. So just so you know, if this is the top notch of your,
Yeah.
your
Well,
want.
that's a good point. So when you use this process, that'll be a rare occurrence that someone says, but I've only seen 5. Because we sat down together and they got to see firsthand, directly from the MLS, the entire inventory of what matched their criteria. And they selected their top 5.
Right.
So I think the problem a lot of agents make is they say, I got some houses to go show you.
Yeah.
Well, that still leaves some doubt in the back of their mind of, well, what if they didn't show me the one?
Right.
So when you sit down together, even if you are sending them the daily email through the MLS with all the houses on Tuesday, and you're getting together on Saturday, and they start compiling houses, it can still lead to that same, well, what if I'm missing out? So there's something to be said about sitting down together so they get a full understanding of exactly what is available today, the day in which we're going to look at houses. That really solidifies it in their mind that, no, these are your options, and you get to decide. Because if they come to that conclusion at the end of the 5, and you walk them through that process I just explained, and they go, yeah, but I only saw 5 houses. I can appreciate that. I can understand where you're coming from there. However, you did see all of the houses that were available that match your criteria. Do you think you want to change your criteria? Is there something else maybe you're unsure of? So if that's their concern, what's driving that? So you've got to uncover that. And the only way you can do that is by asking them questions. And if you're coming from a place of service, which you do, right? You are truly coming from a place of curiosity, not interrogation. There's a difference. When someone's pushing something, they're interrogating. When it's service, to lead them down the path, it's inquisitive. Like, I want to understand your situation better. And really, because you do want to understand their world and what they want through their eyes. Because when you do, you'll be able to lead them even more effectively to exactly what they want, because you understand it, you get it. Okay? What other questions?
I have run into school districts.
Okay.
That's a big deal for families, and then even non-families when they want to resell. So compiling or getting the RPR report on school districts is something that they want to look at before they make a decision. And then also, I have found that many people say that they're not afraid to renovate, but when they go into the house and they realize how big of a renovation it would require, then what they are asking to see changes. They think they're up for renovation, but what they really mean usually is carpet and paint.
Yeah.
And appliances.
Not full on.
They don't mean knocking out walls.
Yeah.
Like they think at first, but then it changes.
Sure. And by the way, like the process we've kind of gone over and explained, that does not work 100% of the time. However, the more you use that and the more you stick with it, you're going to find it's about a 90-10 rule. You're always going to have those exceptions. Because what might you run into? Like a super high C. Someone's an engineer, very calculative. They're not going to make a decision today. They don't make any decisions on the same day. They must sleep on it. Some people say, I need to pray about it. You know, whatever the case is. Just so long as I can appreciate that. However, while you're thinking about it, I want to make sure you have all the information you need. Is there anything else? How are you feeling about this? Is there any information you still need? You know what I mean? So make sure that you're going a few layers deep if they're not ready to make a decision, to ensure you've done everything you could to help them get to that decision. Okay? So yes, it's not a bulletproof 100%. You know, we're not sprinkling pixie dust on this, right? But you use that process and it will significantly reduce the amount of houses you show. And when they make a decision, they will be more comfortable with their decision, which is key. Because obviously you want them to be happy. You want them to be excited about the house. Because when they're excited about the process, they're excited about their house, what else are they excited about? You. And when they're excited about you, what might they do? Tell others, friends, family, relatives, coworkers, neighbors, right? Like you're more likely to get referrals when you're in the process with somebody. So get them excited about the process by eliminating a lot of the junk noise in their heads that they're going through. Yeah? By leading them. So you got to take that lead. And if you're newer, don't let that stop you, because they don't know how this process is supposed to look, typically. And even if they bought a house in the past, how long ago was that? Was it in this state? What kind of market was it? Right? So chances are they're not that seasoned. Chances are you do know more than they know already at this point in your career. They don't know what you're supposed to say and what not to say, typically. So rest on that, come from a place of service, and lead them to a decision. Yeah? Any other questions? Okay, so we'll kind of wrap up with this. When they find that one, right, because we went through a process of elimination, it was number 3, turns out. Also what I want to do is I want to call that agent back, and I want to say, hey, so we looked at the house, they're ready to write an offer on this one. Anything else? Did you get any other offers? Anything else that I need to know about in order to structure this offer to make it a win-win? So now I've had 2 conversations with that agent. Okay, we'll get into more of how to structure the offer in the next class, winning the contract. And I don't want to go too much into that right now. So, any other questions, guys? Anything you can think of at all? No? Okay, cool.